29, and I was living with my sister because I was pretty much immobile and paralyzed from the waist down and had limited use of my upper torso and my arms. So I was in a wheelchair and unable to care for myself. So my sister was trying to be the best sister she could be by being my caregiver and trying to make sure my life was as normal as possible. And I was trying to be the best patient and house guest as possible. And we were very different, quite different, and in the way we lived our lives and what we thought about and how we entertained ourselves. So my sister, in her wisdom, wanting to entertain me, thought taking me on a camping trip would be a good idea. And she didn't know that I thought a camping trip was a hotel without room service. I'm definitely not a camper. So she packs up the car and she gets her husband and her 2 girls and me and my wheelchair. And we set off to go on this camping weekend adventure. And she did good with the campsite. It was close to the river. It was really beautiful. But the only problem was the only bathroom was way up the hill. So anytime I had to go, I had to be wheeled up there by someone and helped out of the wheelchair and sell them. You get the picture. So anyway, that was going to be fine. It was going to work. I'm going along. I'm not going to complain. They want to go for a float down the river. Okay, let's go for a float. My brother-in-law found a small inner tube to fit my little 85 pound body into, and I was pretty good in my little yellow polka dot hot bikini, and for a while I was floating down the river, I felt kind of normal and back to myself, and it was actually fun, but it was exhausting. And when you're paralyzed and you can't work your body the way it needs to, you become stiff and it becomes hard and you exhaust easy. And so that evening, spending the night in a hot tent in the West Texas heat in the middle of July on a blow-up mattress, it just wasn't fun. And so when I got up in the morning, I thought, I was exhausted, I didn't sleep well, I am not going anywhere, I am done with camping. I'm going to sit in my wheelchair and just let them go. And I assured my sister to be fine. Go, enjoy yourselves. Put some sunscreen on me, give me a nice cold glass of water and some snacks. I'll be good, I assured them. And I was. It was great. I sat and watched people float down the river. It was wonderful. Until it happened. Until I needed to go pee. And I mean, when you're paralyzed from the waist down and you can't cross your legs to kind of hold it, it's really, when you gotta go, you gotta go. And I thought, okay, I'll just not think about it. It'll go away. And I didn't think, and I tried not to concentrate on it. 30 minutes went by. An hour went by, and I'm thinking, I'm going to wet all over myself in this wheelchair. And I was going to have to do something. And there was no way I was going to maneuver that wheelchair up the hill. So I thought my best bet is to make it to the water. And then that way, I can go there and I won't have pee all over me. So I maneuvered myself, and I twisted and I turned, and I, sure enough, went flat out on my face onto the ground, out of my wheelchair, but I was out. And I thought, okay, this is a start. I pulled myself up, used my arms, and I scooted kind of across the dirt and got myself into the river just on the edge where the water was flowing, and then I began to flow, and I just let it go. And I peed, and it felt so good, and it just all washed down the river. So then I sat there, and it started to get really cold because the water, it was the Frio River. It means cold. The water was cold. And I was like, I cannot stay sitting in this ice cold water. So again, I was going to have to try to maneuver myself and use my arms and pull myself just enough out of the water, and I managed to do that. And I was exhausted. So there I sat the rest of the day next to the riverbank in my little bikini, right next to my wheelchair, because there was no way I was getting back in that. And it was great. I was okay. I said, this is going to be how my day is. And it was great until it started to rain. And I mean, it poured. It came down. So there I sat in the pouring rain, next to the river, next to my wheelchair, in my little yellow bikini for hours and hours, waiting for my family to come back.